The characters in Vinland Saga are equally as mesmerizing as the plot. The series' primary protagonist, Thorfinn, aspires to be a powerful warrior, but his father's death led him on the terrible path of vengeance. It also taught him that in order to survive, he needed to be tough. And the one who taught him life's toughest lessons was none other than his father's killer, Askeladd, the main antagonist for the entirety of the first season. He was a mentor figure for Thorfinn, along with being his worst enemy. Today's discussion revolves around setting side by side the protagonist and antagonist of Vinland Saga Season 1. Welcome back to Anime Soreio. Before we move on, if you want to stay up to date with the best that anime world has to offer, do subscribe to Anime Soreio and hit that bell icon to never miss a new upload from us. Now let's dive into the background stories of our characters. Let's start with Askeladd. Despite playing the role of the villain, he was easily the most endearing character in Season 1. He lacked Thor's glamour, but he had a far more intriguing past and progress. He did not have Canute's sudden change of heart, but he triggered it himself. As far as Grey antagonists go, he stands unrivaled. He devised the whole first season's plot on his own. His childhood, on the other hand, remained a secret for the most part. According to what we know, he did not have a happy or easy upbringing. His mother was a slave taken by his father and was named Lucius Artorius Castus after his grandfather, a Roman military commander. Askeladd was only a nickname given to him as a child since he was constantly covered in ashes and dung from his job. His mother was in bad health and his father Olaf neglected them for the whole of his life, and the entire burden fell on his shoulders. One day, Olaf was about to kill Askeladd's mother when he steps in to save her with a sword he stole from the forge. Despite this being his first time using a sword, he was able to impress Olaf, who offered to live with him. As much as Askeladd hated him, he knew it was the smart thing to do. He needed Olaf's trust to kill him. So he accepted the latter's invitation, but he never forgot, even for a second, what suffering he had inflicted on him and his mother. He agreed on trading the life of slavery for a luxurious one only because it benefited his mother since she was receiving better care now. His brothers readily embraced him and acknowledged his talent. For a time, he gained everyone's trust by fighting for them and acting as if he belonged with them. One day, when he had earned the title of the loyal son, he realized it was the perfect time. He went to his room and murdered him in a fairly brutal manner while avoiding any suspicion. One of his brothers was falsely accused and hung, while Askeladd was given the opportunity to inherit Olaf's land. He always wanted to be the ruler of Wales. Before that could come true, he met Thorfinn, who reminded him a lot of himself. This leads us to Thorfinn's backstory. Why was Askeladd reminded of his past when he looked at a young Thorfinn? Thorfinn was a pleasant, energetic kid who lived happily with his family. He enjoyed playing with the village kids and loved playing fake battles with a wooden sword. Growing up, he had everything Askeladd would only dream of. However, things changed when he hid in a barrel aboard his father's ship and watched his father's death at the hands of Askeladd. He was blinded by revenge from that moment on, just like Askeladd once was. The major difference between their pasts is that Thorfinn wanted revenge for his father, while Askeladd wanted it from his. While Askeladd's mother meant everything to him, it seems as if Thorfinn couldn't care less about his. He pushed everyone aside just for the sake of a duel. Another stark difference between their past is that Thorfinn was ready for a physical confrontation to exact his revenge, whereas Askeladd was patient and tactically used his intellect to achieve his goal. Askeladd was a competent fighter, but his greatest strength was in manipulating people and circumstances. He defeated Thorfinn several times throughout the series, demonstrating the disparity in power between the two. He also dueled with his comrade Bjorn and defeated him with a remarkable ease. He also clashed with the powerful Thors, and while he was unable to defeat him in a duel, he was able to outsmart him into submission. His determination stemmed from his tough and violent background. Now, haters may call him many names, but he was never a coward. When King Sweyn attempted to take his motherland Wales, Askeladd straight up walked up to him and beheaded him like it's everyday business, while everyone's jaws dropped to the floor. As far as Thorfinn is concerned, judging from their first duel after he murdered the captain, one may think they were even at first. Then Askeladd caused them to lose his temper. Some argue that if Thorfinn kept his cool, he could beat Askeladd 5 out of 10 times. It's worth noting that Thorfinn was maturing while Askeladd was becoming older and having to depend more on his intellect. The main question, though, would be comparing prime Askeladd to Thorfinn of now. Even Thors, the greatest warrior of all time, used a sword to compete with Askeladd. It is apparent that prime Askeladd versus current Thorfinn would be a difficult match for either of them. Another thing that adds greatly to Askeladd's character is the countless battles in which he has been involved. He was present during the Battle of Malden when he observed a rare moment when Thorkel fell to his knees. Askeladd lived by the rule, no war, no money. As a result, he resolved to move where there is food, i.e. war. At one time, he planned to join the attackers and then steal half of the riches from the city. The river was obstructed by a waterfall, so Askeladd, being the brilliant strategist he is, chose to sail his boat on land. By the time the attackers arrived, they saw that the enemy had already been killed by Askeladd's group. Meanwhile, Thorfinn remained a member of Askeladd's mercenary in order to challenge the latter to a duel. Initially, he survived by eating leftovers during his brief stay on the island. Askeladd and his group, on the other hand, continued to plunder until they were ambushed. The attackers didn't think twice about assaulting Thorfinn, which made him realize he couldn't continue to be inactive. When he was ambushed again, he chose to fight back. He stabbed and murdered the attacker. This was a defining moment in his life, as he had officially entered the realm of warriors. He was assigned several perilous missions, which he fulfilled flawlessly. Later on, during a raid of East Anglia, he also murders numerous soldiers in front of the woman who tended to his wounds. When Thorkel nearly murdered Askeladd, he intervened just in time and challenged Thorkel to an epic duel, demonstrating how far he had come. The best thing about Askeladd was that you could never tell where his character is headed. Would he come to regard Thorfinn as a type of son? Will he go from being a villain to a uniting hero that everyone desperately needs? Owing to his past strength and personality, he could have realistically become anything. You need a well-written character with complicated motives and just enough insight into his inner monologue to make you question, what is this guy thinking now? Askeladd makes you look beyond the apparent. Oh, he's just another Viking raider who doesn't mind murdering to reach his less than honorable ends. Even Bjorn's final moments shed light on this fact. The statement, "You're my only friend," was intended to demonstrate that. While Askeladd loathed everyone in his crew, he wasn't some heartless conniving robot. He truly cared about them all in some manner. In the beginning, there were instances where Askeladd demonstrated self-loathing. The key moment is when Canute asks him why he doesn't aim at becoming a king himself. Askeladd responds that he is nothing but a Norseman. This implies that he didn't see himself as a true warrior or didn't consider himself worthy of something great. Violence used to be his only language. However, everything took a sharp turn when he decided to save Wales and make Canute king at the same time. There was irony in his last moments when he acted against the principles. He had lived his life on and all of a sudden embraced his lineage in the name that was given to him, finally resolving his self-loathe. Although to everyone his actions were perceived as madness, it was a perfect strategy all along. Even in death, Askeladd devised a plan and executed it immaculately. He did Canute's dirty work so the latter could win and have a kingdom to his name without even having to spill a single drop of blood. Even though his character may not fall under the chosen one cliché trope, he was more than that. A talented strategist confined by his circumstances to resort to violence. He lived as just another Norseman, but died as Artorius. That was his character development arc, nothing less than extraordinary. Meanwhile, Thorfinn was on an entirely different journey altogether. He experiences incidents that influence the character throughout the narrative. From being a happy little kid riding on his father's shoulders to becoming a ruthless murderer ready to kill without a second thought as if he was a professional assassin. Although as a kid he aspired to be like his father, but the circumstances developed him into someone entirely opposite. While some hated his new personality, some thought it was justified. Thorfinn thankfully did not stay the same angsty kid. He was involved in a variety of tragedies throughout the series that formed him into the person he is now. He was obsessed with murdering Askeladd for the whole first season. Nothing else was important to him. However, life had other plans. Askeladd's death was the final nail in the coffin, and Thorfinn's days as a brutal murderer were over. Askeladd told him to become a true warrior like his father and to travel further than anybody had gone before, and Thorfinn appears to have complied. In the end, Askeladd had so many layers that intertwined perfectly that different people can have different interpretations of him, all of which make sense. He is in a league of his own. Whatever he did had a lasting impression on the story and characters that will carry the series forward. Thorfinn, on the other hand, still has a long way ahead of him and a lot of unlocked potential. And that would be all from our side. Thanks for sticking till the end. If you enjoyed this type of comparison of our beloved characters from our favorite shows, please drop us a like and subscribe to Anime Soreio for more content like this on your feed. With that said, we'll see you in the next one. Peace!